call this meeting to order. If I could get you to stand and join us in the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please pray with me if you'd like to. Almighty God, as we come together in the service to the people of St. Lucie County, we ask for your guidance, your wisdom, and your peace. May our discussions tonight be thoughtful, our decisions just, and our actions grounded in the best interests of those we serve. With the remembrance of September 11th approaching, we pause to remember the lives lost, the families forever changed, and the heroes who rose in the face of tragedy. May we honor their legacy by leading with courage, unity, and compassion. Bless this board, our community, and all those who dedicate themselves to public service. May we be mindful of the trust placed in us and strive to always build a stronger future together. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I hope everyone had a wonderful Labor Day weekend. I just want to remind everyone, since we have so many with us tonight, to please check your phones and put them on silent. And with that, we're going to take a brief recess and go into our special district meetings.
Thank you. At this time, we will come to order as the erosion board. At this time, if we have any general public comments, please come to the podium. Seeing no one moving, we will go ahead and close general public comment. Would you like to speak for the erosion control meeting? The Board of County Commissioners meeting will be shortly. Okay. We'll go ahead and can I get a motion for the approval of the consent agenda?
Motion to approve consent.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. There are no regularly scheduled agenda items. We will be adjourned and returned to the Board of County Commissioners.
All right, thank you. And with that, I need a motion for the approval of the agenda with the additions, deletions, and revisions.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion. Is there a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, this evening we have a presentation on the Read to Succeed initiative. And we have Representative Dana Trabolsi that's going to start us off. Good evening.
Well, good evening. Am I on? Yes?
Are
Okay.
you sure?
Yes. Okay, great. It's so great to be with you tonight. Thank you so much for allowing me to present and recognize Read to Succeed and our partners with Scholastic Books tonight. But I want to just give you a little bit of a backstory on how we got here. In the interest of time, I may buzz through these slides a little quickly, but I think it's important to see how great it is when public and private entities can come together, work together, all for the betterment of our communities. So this is about the New Worlds Reading Initiative. Hopefully the clicker's gonna click. There we go. So in 2021, I joined the Florida legislature, and one of the first bills that I passed was House Bill 3, which was a priority of our speaker. And the name of the bill was the New Worlds Reading Initiative. And this bill is essentially to serve children who are underperforming readers in the state of Florida. And with that, we partnered with the UF Lassinger Center in University of Florida in partnership with Scholastic Books. These are some of the supporters of the program. It is funded by tax credits. I'm proud to say that Southern Eagle Distributing, our local beer distributor and someone I'm very fond of, helped to support this as well. So when someone enrolls in New Worlds Reading Initiative through progress monitoring that our children test for each 3 times a year, if they are deemed underperforming readers, they automatically will qualify for New Worlds Reading Initiative, but the parents do have to sign them up. On each progress monitoring report that parents receive, there is a link if they would like to go ahead and sign their children up. And when they do enroll, they get 9 free books a year delivered right to their home with resources to their families as well. And a lot of this is for children who really don't have access to a home library. You or I may think that every home library looks like our children's did, but that is just not the case. There are a lot of children that just do not have books in the home, and if children don't have books readily accessible, the likelihood of them being able to read by 3rd grade is really low. So what's really great about this is it not only is available in English, but in Spanish, Haitian Creole, and recently Braille. It's available for children who are in VPK through 5th grade, who again are not reading on grade level and are in a Florida VPK program or charter school. We have partnered with Scholastics, and again, this is part of the vision of bringing communities along with the state together in a collaborative way so that we can serve our children and our families. The impacts on the literacy, 90% of children read books more often when they've participated in New World's Reading Initiative, and 88% of the caregivers or parents who are reading to children are reading more often at home. So in 2024, 306,000 plus students were served, 260,000 households were served, and 4 million books were shipped. Overall, since the inception of the program, 470 students have been served, 400,000 households have been served, and 11 million books have been delivered to children across the state of Florida. Right now in St. Lucie County, 18,821 students are eligible for the New World's Reading Initiative, and only 4,630 students are enrolled. So you can see that we have a big need in St. Lucie County to increase our enrollment in the New World's Reading Initiative. So only 24.6% of the children who are eligible are enrolled. And I do have more slides, but I think I'm just going to stop my presentation and leave it at this because those are such big numbers. So a couple of years ago, Scott Van Duzer came to me and said, hey, I know you did this New World Reading Initiative, and I want to start a program called Read to Succeed. What do you think? I'm like, hey, anything we can get, started to help kids read. He's like, you don't understand. What I want to do is bring kids in. I want them to have a slice of pizza and a soda. I want their parents to read them. I want them to take a book home. What do you think you can do to help me? And I took a deep breath and I'm like, wow, just like anything else, Scott, you got like this big aspiration dream. We have to make it come true. So I thought about the New World's Reading Initiative and our partnership with Scholastic. And you don't know until you ask. So I asked if they would be willing to partner and supply some books. And they supplied 10,000 books the first year. And I thought there's no way that they're going to go through all those books. Well, they went through all those books. So this year, Scott said, hey, you think you can get me 10,000 books again? And I'm like, wow, okay. Well, you don't know unless you ask. So he asked me, I asked them, thinking that I was just going to do the ask, and I didn't want it to be greedy. And they immediately said, absolutely, we're going to be donating 10,000 books again. So this is more than just about kids picking up a book and reading it, which is essentially what we want them to do so that they can build their reading skills, be reading on grade level at 3rd grade, and be able to reach their full potential, because you learn to read up until 3rd grade and then you read to learn after 3rd grade. But this is really about bringing our community together and bringing parents who may not be able to take their kids out for a slice of pizza and a soda, one night, and enjoying some family time. Sitting down at Big Apple and reading a book and doing an activity with your child that on another night you may be working your second job, or you might each be on your devices, which we should probably work on that too, but we're so busy caught up in what we do in our everyday life. Just to take those small moments make such a big difference. And Scott has been able to really elevate how our schools are looking at reading, bringing each of these schools in St. Lucie County in and having these big nights and a competition and just getting total community engagement. And I'm just so proud to be a part of it. And I'm so thankful for the partnership with Scholastic, because they have been so generous. We do have, I know that you have a recognition for Scholastic, and I appreciate that. But before we offer them that recognition, I would really like to offer up a tribute to Scott and Read to Succeed. So I know that you do not like this, which is why I didn't tell you about it, but I would really love to honor you with a tribute from the House of Representatives in appreciation for your work with Read to Succeed and the students in St. Lucie County. No, you don't have to read it. It's in Braille too, so. Can we get a picture?
Absolutely. And then Scott, I know you have Scholastic here. Do they also want to come up for the photo? We have. I saw him back there. Oh, look at them. They were all hiding back there. Teresa, Sean, Tom, come on up here.
You guys, the front row got to slide down a little bounce. Or a couple of you come down on that end there, Teresa. Ready? Mr. Lowry, cheat out a little too. There you go. I can sneak you in there. All right. Got it.
On behalf of the county, we would like to give you the certificate of recognition for your Read to Succeed. If you'll come up here and, well, all of you come up here, yes. So, on behalf of the county, we would like to present this to One Overview and Scholastic Books in helping with the Read to Succeed initiative with the Van Duzer Foundation here in St. Lucie County. It really does take a village, and that's demonstrated by the fact that St. Lucie County is now an A-rated district, and it's because of these types of partnerships across our county that help our kids to succeed. So thank you so very much. Absolutely.
So, as a representative of Scholastic, I would like to say that we can all agree that family engagement is super important, and it really matters. Big Apple Pizza and Scott Van Duzer have taken community engagement to a whole new level. By bringing literacy from the classroom to home to the dinner table, students can embark on a literacy journey and discover the joy of reading. Through reading, students develop knowledge, empathy, and an increased awareness of the world that is around them. opening a whole new world of opportunity and the future. Research shows that even one book in a house can make a huge difference. When we engage students in rich and relevant text, we improve reading levels and increase their chance of lifelong success. Providing access to books and building home libraries is one of the most effective ways that schools and communities can combat learning loss and bringing communities together through the power of storytelling. Scholastic is proud to be here today with you to celebrate and support the great work that Scott and the Big Apple Pizza continue to do for children and families in this community. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. All right, and with that, we'll move right along to public comment. Anyone wishing to address the board? General public comment. Anyone wishing to address the board? Now would be the time. Hi, good evening. If I could have you state your first and last name for the secretary.
Jada Fox. Do I start?
Whenever you're ready.
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am. So, good evening. My name is Jada, and I'm here today to talk about something that's more than just transportation. For many of us, a ride isn't about getting from point A to point B. It's a lifeline. It's what gets single mothers to work on time. It's what helps your grandmother make her medical appointment. It helps a father keeps his promise to show up for his kids. And most importantly for me, a working family, is what helps keep my family moving forward. So today I came to speak to you guys about MV Transportation and how they provide that lifeline every single day. In my experience, I never had to worry about calling off from work, being late, or my kids missing school. In fact, for the 24-25 school year, my kids received perfect attendance, which was a big deal because I relied heavily on their services. MV isn't just reliable, it's personal. It's the way the drivers see people and not just passengers. They understand the importance behind every ride that's booked, as if your appointment, your paycheck, or your family was their own. And that kind of connection cannot be written in any job description or handbook. That type of connection is basically community on wheels. MV Transportation isn't just moving people, they're moving lives. And I ask that you guys continue to invest and support in this service, because every ride is more than a trip, it's someone's future. Thank you for your time and for recognizing that transportation is more than just a vehicle. It's about community, and MV proves every day they understand that everyone deserves to stay connected. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Paul. I'm actually an MV Transit driver.
And then, Paul, could we get your last name?
Sepulveda.
And could you spell that for the secretary?
Sepulveda.
Thank you.
I'm here on behalf of the drivers there, and I just want to thank my employer for employing me. I moved up here from Miami. I took a leap of faith. I wish they had public transportation like this in Miami. I probably wouldn't be here, but I'm here now, and I'm glad to be a part of the community here. And I try to get actively involved in the community. And I seen once I was hired at MV Transit, I noticed I was like embraced. So I don't really miss home, even though I've only been here less than a year. I feel a sense of community, and I try to help out with the people, you know, getting them to where they need to be, because I understand the importance of it. And I see it on their faces every day, just by the way I could greet somebody and, you know, change their day. They might be down on stuff, and stuff like that means a lot to me. And I realize that the public transportation they have here is outstanding to me, because we reach everybody, and we try to get everybody there on time. Sometimes, you know, things might not work out as far as us being like in a timely manner, because we pick up so many people each and every day, but we try to keep our schedules intact. And I just like to say thank you to my boss, and I really appreciate you all support and continue to support MV Transit and drivers like me, because my family actually likes it here, and I see it's a better quality of living up here as opposed to Miami, even though I've been there my whole life. That's all I got to say. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome to St. Lucie County. We're happy to have you. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
Great.
My name is Randy France, Frantz. So good evening, commissioners. My name is Randy France, and I'm the Senior Vice President of Operations for MV Transportation. I stand before you proud of our 50 years of experience and proud of the work we have done in St. Lucie County the last 5 years. From what we came into to where we are now is remarkable. Our on-time performance continues to exceed the expectations. Our safety results are best in class, and passengers, they're now enjoying their service. As your partner, we have been proud to support Adolfo and his team in winning multiple awards for their growth and innovation in microtransit and for serving the transportation disadvantaged. The great service we provide to the most vulnerable citizens of St. Lucie County could not be possible without the excellent local leadership team led by Ms. Lakeisha Brown, who has over 90 years of transportation experience. This local leadership team embodies MV's values of deep commitment for the passengers we serve. As we look at the work we have done together, right? We not only honor the past, but we also celebrate the future, and we look ahead excitedly for the future to come. Thank you for your time this evening, and I would now like to turn it over to Mr. Ken Pruitt, our government affairs partner.
Thank you. Good evening.
Thank you, Randy, and good evening, Madam Chair and Commissioners. My name is Ken Pruitt, P-R-U-I-T-T, representing MV Transportation. Madam Chair and Commissioners, you've seen the scores, you've heard the results, and you have witnessed the transformation. But this decision isn't just about the numbers and the metrics. It's about trust, continuity, and the people that we serve. MV Transportation hasn't just met expectations, they've elevated them. They've earned the confidence of your professional staff, the gratitude of your riders, and the respect of this community. This is a moment to reward excellence and to reinforce a partnership that's working. It's working for your budget, for your constituents, and your long-term vision. Let's not interrupt progress. Let's build upon it. MV Transportation has proven that they are all in for St. Lucie County, investing in our future with every route that they operate. Please let them continue their exceptional work and keep building a stronger, more connected community. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. Adam Fetterman. Madam Chair, Commissioners, it's a pleasure to see you. If you'll give me a point of personal privilege and not count it towards my time, I'd appreciate it. My wife, Mindy, and I were just talking about Scholastic Book Fair the other night and loving that memory. I sat down with Scott earlier last week, and my firm committed to a book drive for the month of September to October, and we will match every single book donated to our firm to be able to double all of the donations to the Read to Succeed program. It's that awesome of a program, and I'm super
Yes, it
excited
is.
about that and about the community. I'm here representing Transportation America tonight, who's also submitted a proposal in response to the request for proposals for the paratransit, microtransit, and fixed route services. Transportation America has been in this community for over 2 decades in the form of all-county ambulance, providing non-emergency ambulance transport safely and effectively in this community. It operates the largest fixed route operation in Florida, over 300 vehicles versus the 13 sought in this RFP.
operates a significant microtransit operation with dozens of vehicles to the 11 needed here, and the largest paratransit operation in Florida in Miami-Dade and Broward County. They surely have the capacity to be able to handle this contract. They also clearly had the capability to do so, and that's why staff asked them to go to the next level of the oral presentations. We understand that staff typically, and in many counties, will extend or renew a contract when a provider is providing good and competent service. And I'm not saying that MV hasn't done that here, but for some reason this was put out to bid, presumably to look for the savings for the taxpayer. And lo and behold, Transportation America's contract came back $13.6 million difference over 5 years. And if you look at the savings for each year, the savings actually climb each year of the contract. Folks, if this was a 5 or 6 figure difference, I wouldn't be standing before you tonight. But in a time when the folks in Tallahassee are trying to wrest every ounce of local control away from you, and we have this new Florida Department of Government Efficiency that is coming in and auditing counties and municipalities across the state looking for wasteful spending, I dare say, how do you explain to the taxpayers of St. Lucie County a difference of $13.6 million being overlooked or disregarded in awarding a contract? And so we would suggest that at the very least that you should authorize staff to negotiate simultaneously with the top 3 respondents in this RFP. Give everybody the opportunity to come to you with their best deal, and you put together the best deal for the taxpayers of St. Lucie County, not based just on service. The All-County Ambulance and Transportation America has an outstanding reputation in the community, but based on all of the important factors, including a $13.6 million return to the taxpayers of St. Lucie County. Thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to address the board under public comment? Hi, good evening.
Hi, good evening.
If I could get
Madam
you.
Chair, hi.
Yes, sir. Could I have you give your first and last name to the secretary, please?
Sure, and I'll also be giving you a copy. I'm going to put you on notice. My name is Shane Doak. I'm currently a citizen, resident here in St. Lucie County. Been here my whole life. Coming to put you guys, provide notice to the board that this is in accordance with USCS rules of civil procedure, as well as Rule 17 and Rule 20 of the Supreme Court. The Constitution of the United States is an overarching requirement that all states must follow. I don't think any of us would disagree with that. The states cannot enact their own legislative substitute guarantees of the Constitution of the United States. That would mean that state laws are more powerful than the Constitution, and that's not right. It's unlawful. Clause 1 in Amendment 5 states, no person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on presentment of indictment by a grand jury. However, the state of Florida has enacted its own alternative legislation permitting prosecution of attorneys and police officers to charge by way of information as opposed to indictment, and that's unconstitutional. The emolument violation is when you pay an official to break the law. The Constitution has 2 areas that enforce this. I hope that you guys will check into this and talk with your county attorneys as well. Article 1, Section 10 says that no state shall create a law that shall impair the obligation of contracts. Contracts is your officers, your judges, your prosecutors, anybody that you're make a payment to. If you have them break the law, which is what they're currently doing, by arresting people by information instead of by grand jury, that's a violation. And unfortunately, our state has been doing this for way too long. And we're working with, I'm actually a civil rights advocate, and I'm working with Tanawin Downing out of Washington, D.C., and he's fighting the Supreme Court right now on this very issue. Now, the second area, the 14th Amendment, is the other place that you'll find a reinforcement of this issue. And that's where it says that no state shall create or enforce a law that shall abridge the privileges or the immunities of the United States citizens. Right now, the privileges and the immunities of the United States citizens are at a minimum. Those enumerated within the Bill of Rights are the first 10 commandments. Unfortunately, the state of Florida has enacted the law of an inferior constitution that permits officials, judges, law enforcement officers, whom you all pay, to violate this law, the Constitution of the United States. And therefore, an inordinate amount of people are currently locked up in our prison system illegally. It never went before a grand jury. Tanner Downing is litigating this in the Supreme Court right now, and I'm here to notify you that if you continue to pay your public officials to violate this constitutional law, then you guys will also be breaking the law as well. Now, these civil affidavits that we have, these criminal affidavits that we have of just Florida inmates are over 100,000 at this moment. And that's just, we just started this. Unfortunately, 3 seconds left. I hope you guys will get with your attorneys and look with this. I will be turning in my own copy. So much.
Is your last name on there?
Doak, yes.
Oh, she needs it spelled.
Anyone else wishing to address the board under public comment? Seeing no movement, I'm going to close public comment and come back to the board. We have a proclamation, Hunger Action Month.
Resolution number 2025-142, a resolution proclaiming September 2025 as Hunger Action Month in St. Lucie County, Florida. Whereas the Board of County Commissioners of St. Lucie County, Florida has made the following determinations. Hunger and poverty remain issues of grave concern in the United States. The state of Florida, the Treasure Coast, with 250,000 children, adults, seniors, and veterans experiencing food insecurity on a weekly basis. St. Lucie County is committed to taking steps to raise awareness about the need to end hunger in every part of our county and to provide additional resources that citizens of St. Lucie County need. St. Lucie County is committed to working with Treasure Coast Food Bank in mobilizing people about the role and importance of food banks and other hunger relief organizations in addressing hunger and bringing attention to the need to devote more resources and attention to hunger issues. Food banks and hunger relief organizations across the country, including the Treasure Coast Food Bank, coordinated Hunger Action Day on September 9, 2025, and will continue to host numerous events throughout the month of September to shed light on this important issue and encourage involvement in efforts to end hunger in their local community. Now therefore be resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of St. Lucie County, Florida, does hereby proclaim the month of September 2025 as Hunger Action Month in St. Lucie County, Florida, and call this observance to the attention of our citizens. Passed and duly adopted this second day of September 2025.
Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. We have Ashley with us today to accept the proclamation. Do you want to come up and say a few words?
Hi. My name is Ashley Schiaffelletti on behalf of the Treasure Coast Food Bank President and CEO Judith Cruz, our dedicated staff, volunteers, partners, and board of directors. I would like to thank you for proclaiming September as Hunger Action Month. Treasure Coast Food Bank provides millions of meals to our neighbors facing food insecurity each year through partnerships with 300+ agency partners, strong collaborations, and a full roster of direct service programs in Indian River, St. Lucie, Martin, and Okeechobee counties. Together with our community, we are not only working to solve the immediate problem of hunger, but we are building solutions to create a stronger, more resilient Treasure Coast for generations to come. Throughout the entire month of September, Treasure Coast Food Bank will be joining Feeding America and food banks across the country in raising awareness for food insecurity and hunger in our communities. We are encouraging everyone in our community to join the movement and take action. As part of this month-long campaign, Treasure Coast Food Bank will be hosting our 5th annual Outrun Hunger 5K on September 20th and Light Up Orange event. On September 9th, we invite our entire community to go orange with us for Hunger Action Day. Orange is the color of hunger relief, which represents encouragement and determination. For more information on these events and ways to get involved, please visit our website at stophunger.org. Thank you again for your continued support. Hunger doesn't stand a chance with our community comes together.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Did you want to come up and do a picture
Yes,
with the
please.
board? Perfect. Yep, you're going to come right down here. Okay.
Sorry, I took a bunch of selfies.
All right, moving along, we have two sets of minutes needing approval, July 15th and July 22nd. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve July
Second.
15th and July 22nd board meetings.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, moving on to the consent. Is there anything anyone wants to pull? If not, I'll accept
Motion
the
to
motion.
approve.
We have a motion. Is there a
Second.
second? We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, going right into public hearings. We have Ms. Barb Getler for all of our districts and MSBU's. Good evening.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Commissioners. For the record, Barbara Getler, MSBU Coordinator. April 2nd, 1991, the Board created the Palm Lake Garden Street Lighting District. July 20th, 2010, the Board converted the method of assessment from ad valorem-based to non-ad valorem-based assessments. The assessment amount for each parcel within the district is calculated by dividing the total estimated cost to provide the street lighting service by the number of parcels contained in the district. Per county ordinance, Chapter 40, Section 5, in the event the proposed assessment for any parcel of property exceeds the maximum amount as noticed, the Board shall conduct a public hearing prior to the adoption of the annual assessment resolution. Due to increases in FPL fees, the Palm Lake Garden Street Lighting District requires a public hearing to be held prior to the adoption of the 2025 assessment roll. The maximum annual assessment amount, as established in Resolution Number 10-182, was $51.94 per dwelling unit. The proposed annual assessment amount to be levied in November on the 2025 tax roll is $58.95. The new maximum amount to be assessed without conducting another public hearing would be $64.84. Notices of this public hearing were mailed to affected property owners on or before August 12th. Tonight's resolution, number 2025-168, is the annual assessment resolution which determines benefit, approves the 2025 annual assessment roll, imposes assessment, and provides the method for collection. Staff recommend board approval of the Palm Lake Garden Street Lighting District annual assessment resolution and authorization for the chair to sign documents as approved by the county attorney.
All right, this is a public hearing. I'm going to go ahead and open it up to the public. Anyone wishing to address us on this item, now is your time. Seeing none, come back to the board.
Motion
Questions,
to
comments? Motion? We have a
Second.
motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next one.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, for the record, Barbara Getler, MSBU Coordinator. Sorry to be repetitive, but Dan Mack taught me well. March 28, 1995, the Board created the Southern Oak Street Lighting District. August 24, 2010, the Board converted the method of assessment from the ad valorem-based to non-ad valorem-based assessments. The assessment amount for each parcel within the district is calculated by dividing the total estimated cost to provide the street lighting districts by the number of parcels contained in the district. Per county ordinance, Chapter 40, Section 5, in the event the proposed assessment for any parcel of property exceeds the maximum amount as noticed, the board shall conduct a public hearing prior to the adoption of the annual assessment resolution. Due to increases in FP&L fees, the Southern Oak Street Lighting District requires a public hearing to be held prior to the adoption of the 2025 assessment roll. The maximum annual assessment amount was $75.43 per dwelling unit. The proposed annual assessment amount to be levied on the November 2025 tax roll is $82.73, and the new maximum amount to be assessed without conducting another public hearing is $91. Notice of this public hearing were mailed to property owners on or before August 12th. Tonight's resolution number 2025-169 is the annual assessment resolution, which determines benefit, approves the 2025 assessment roll, imposes assessments, and provides the method for collection. Staff recommends board approval of the Southern Oak Street Lighting District annual assessment resolution and authorization for the chair to sign documents as approved by the county attorney.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. Anyone wishing to address us on this item? Seeing none, closing public comment.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Madam Chair, Barbara Gettler for the record, Madam Chair and Commissioners. On January 19, 1982, the board created this Grove Street Lighting District. On July 2nd, 2011, the board converted the method of assessment from ad valorem-based to non-ad valorem-based assessments. The assessment amount for each parcel within the district is calculated by dividing the total estimated cost to provide the street lighting service by the number of parcels contained in the district. Per county ordinance, Chapter 40, Section 5, in the event the proposed assessment for any parcel property exceeds the maximum amount noticed, the board shall conduct a public hearing prior to the adoption of the annual assessment resolution. Due to increases in FPL fees, the Grove Street Lighting District requires public hearing to be held prior to the adoption of the 2025 assessment roll. The maximum annual assessment amount was $27.67 per dwelling unit. The proposed annual assessment amount to be levied on the November 2025 tax roll is $28.94. The new maximum amount to be assessed without conducting another public hearing is $83. Notice of this public hearing were mailed to property owners on or before August 12th. Tonight's resolution number 2025-170 is the annual assessment resolution, which determines benefit, approves the 2025 assessment roll, imposes assessments, and provides a method of collection. Staff recommends board approval of the Grove Street Lighting District annual assessment resolution and authorization for the county to sign documents as approved by the county attorney.
Thank you. All right, this is also a public hearing item. Anyone wishing to address the board? Seeing no movement, come back to the board.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, for the record, Barbara Gettler, MSBU Coordinator. The board created the Culvert Assistance Program to give property owners the option to fund the replacement of failed culverts through non-ad valorem assessments. Today's resolution is the assessment resolution as required by county ordinance. The purpose of this resolution relates to the imposition and collection of special assessments to fund stormwater culvert improvements within the MSBU, determine that real property therein will be specially benefited, establish a method of assessing the cost of the improvements, and approve the assessment roll. Staff recommends board approval of resolution 2025-167 and authorization for the chair to sign documents as approved by the county attorney.
All right, thank you. Again, this is also a public hearing item. Anyone wishing to address the board? Seeing none, come back to the board.
Move approval, but I have a comment. For those that are not really listening, please listen to this, because this is a program that was created for people that cannot afford
to have the culverts put in. This is an assistance that we come out, we do the culvert for you, and it's put on your taxes based over a 10-year period. And it has been very successful, especially in Indian River Estates and Lakewood Park, where we have invested millions of dollars in the infrastructure out there, and it's being backed up because of the failed culvert. So if anybody is listening or anybody is here and you need assistance, that's what this is for. So please reach out, and Barb's happy to help you, process everything through to be able to help you get your culverts replaced. It's a great program. Thank you, Barb.
All right, and with that, there's a motion. Was there a second?
Second.
Second, okay. Motion a second, all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, for the record, Barbara Gettler, MSP Coordinator. The Fort Pierce Farms Water Control District, the district was originally created in July 1919 under Florida Statutes, Chapter 298. The district is responsible for regulating drainage, flood control and protection, water management, and reclamation of lands within the district. Current district boundaries encompass approximately 13,000 acres and 50 miles of canal. The drainage system in Lakewood Park consists of swales located along streets and behind homes, which collect excess rain and distribute it into lakes and canals. There are 3 main canals in Lakewood Park, which carries drainage out of the subdivision. Each of these canals contain a water control structure near the south end. North of these structures, the canals are owned and maintained by St. Lucie County. The purpose of the structures is to limit the amount of water allowed to drain south into the canals that are not owned and maintained by the district. That are maintained by the district. Per South Florida Water Management District, prior to the board creating the Lakewood Park MSPU, Lakewood Park was permitted to drain at a rate of 1 inch per 24 hours unless declared a state of emergency. In 2017, Hurricane Irma brought record-setting rainfall to Lakewood Park area and caused significant flooding. In order to provide additional drainage relief for Lakewood Park, the residents would have to agree to participate and pay into the Fort Pierce Farms Water Control District. In 2018, return ballots indicated that a majority of affected property owners were in favor of the board creating the Lakewood Park MSPU to fund the cost of joining Fort Pierce Farms, which in turn would allow Lakewood Park to increase the drainage capability to 2.5 inches per 24 hours. In 2019, property owners within the MSBU were notified that the maximum annual assessment that could be assessed against their parcel without the board conducting another public hearing was $25.04. As a result of increases in Fort Pierce Farm fees, proceeds of the special assessments are no longer sufficient. There are currently 3,501 parcels within the MSBU. Of those, 3,489 parcels are 1 acre or less, and 12 parcels are larger than 1 acre but less than 2 acres. On or before August 12, 2025, affected property owners were notified by mail of this public hearing and of their proposed annual assessment amount to be collected beginning in November 2025. The proposed annual assessment amount per parcel, which are less than or equal to 1 acre, is $27.74. The proposed annual assessment amount per parcel, which are greater than 1 acre and less or equal to 2 acres, is $55.49 each year. Each year, the district board evaluates the cost to maintain and operate their system. They then vote to set the annual fee. Although the annual assessment may vary from year to year to account for changes in the actual cost of providing the drainage services, the dollar amount of the annual assessment will not increase above the maximum amount without further notice in another public hearing. The proposed maximum annual assessment per parcel, which are less than or equal to 1 acre, is $33.29, and $66.59 per parcel, which are greater than 1 acre and less or equal to 2 acres. Tonight's resolution constitutes the annual assessment resolution as required by county ordinance. The purpose of this resolution is to determine the real property within the Lakewood Park MSBU will be specially benefited by the improvements, approve the assessment roll, impose assessments on parcels described in the assessment roll, and provide the method of collection. Staff recommends board approval of the Lakewood Park MSBU Annual Assessment Resolution number 2025-171 and authorization for the chair to sign documents as approved by the county attorney.
All right, thank you. This is also a public hearing. Anyone wishing? Good evening, sir. May we have your first and last name?
My name's David Ellis. I live at 7508 Ocala Ave. All right, you still got a pump on the Kings Highway Canal, which is not only can be activated if there's a state of emergency. So I don't know, and I had a neighbor behind me, and she flooded last year again. So whatever that Fort Pierce Farm is doing, it's not working. And I know the county spent all kinds of money redoing all the drains and all that, but half the stuff isn't even being maintained or taken care of. So I'm pretty disappointed in the way the system's working. I worked very hard. Everyone probably knows I came here many a times to try to get this approved. And I'm for the drainage, but it is not working, whatever they're doing. That other lady just sold a house, and now another woman bought that house, and I'm sure she's gonna flood out too, because it doesn't work, and that's right behind me. I'm fortunate that my house is high, and I'm very lucky, but the work they put in there does not work. They don't even they don't even clean out the drains behind, and that's St. Lucie County, and a lot of it is the homeowners who don't take care of their property either. So the whole thing, and as far as the pump go, that pump only can be activated if they call it a state of emergency. It cannot be used in the state of Florida. Now, when we voted to pass this, they said they were gonna change all the gates and make everything so we would never have to do it. It has never happened, so that's all I got to say. They got to do something with that pump anyway. You can't even use it unless they call it a state of emergency. I don't know if you're
Mr.
aware
Ellis,
of
I
it.
think Commissioner Townsend is
First
going
of all, it's
to
nice to see you.
Right, but you know what I'm talking about.
I agree with you 100%. So Patrick is in the back of the room, and if I can ask him to come up. I think part of the problem why it's not working is because all the infrastructure is not done. And it's long overdue, and I'm very frustrated, just like you and 1,000 other people, but let's see what Patrick has to say.
Well, what's his name? I was going to say, the FDOT took care of Kings Highway Canal. They did a whole work for Fort Pierce Farm. It wasn't even done through Fort Pierce Farm. It was done from the department, the DOT, not even through.
Let's see what Patrick says.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the Commission. Patrick Diane, Public Works Director for the record. So what we're really talking about, what Mr. Ellis is referring to, is the larger drainage project that has been underway for quite some time to assist Lakewood Park with facilitating that improved drainage rate that is now made possible by being in the MSBU, by doubling the amount of drainage that Lakewood Park can actually flow through those through those structures. The county staff has worked on design and permit of the replacement for that Kings Highway control structure, the one that has the pump that gets deployed every hurricane season, by replacing that structure with an operable gate, one that we can lower during a pre-storm discharge and then facilitate manipulation of that. We would no longer seek to need that pump. We've turned over all of the design documents to the state. It's currently under review. It's been under review since early this year. This is based on a FEMA grant. We did receive a FEMA grant that assisted us with the design, that paid for 75 cents on the dollar for the design, and now we're seeking approval for really the larger pot of money to help us with 75% of the construction. We are still waiting to hear back. I'm not certain what the timeline is. We go through several project managers. We contact them quite frequently, and all we're told is that the package is completed, is still under review, but there's not been a final analysis made to let us go with a green light on that funding from FEMA, and we really can't move ahead. If we do so, we sacrifice the ability to use grant funding on those projects.
Do you have questions?
So we're just same as we were when I came here, right?
But Mr. Ellis, if you'll call me,
thing.
just call me tomorrow at the office, and I'll set up an appointment for you to come in, and we'll sit down and meet with Patrick and go over this some more.
We've been getting this for how many years now?
It's frustrating. I'm just as frustrated as you are. And the funding is there. The funding was there 5 years ago.
I know.
We lacked $500,000. We pulled that from the half a cent sales tax. So I am not disagreeing with you.
Everything was there.
Yep, it was.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else wishing to address the board? Seeing no movement, I'll close public comment and come back to the board for.
She's moving.
Oh,
I'm not on your case.
good evening.
My name is Marila Ventura Ferrer. Hi, everyone. I've been living in Lakewood Park since 2016, and I know there's a lot of Lakewood Park neighbors like me that wish that could be here and say that. But I think that it would be very good if the city would be thinking about us, about getting us better water. And some people have been living there for so long, they probably get used to the water, but it's very nasty. And I think at this point we are the only ones so far in Lakewood Park that don't have good water. It rusts. It's not good to cook. It's not healthy. You can't offer kids to be smart. We got to think about their health first. So it's time that if there's a way that we can put together and ask all the communities to come together and fix that water. I don't know how long it would take, but let me tell you, this country didn't build in one day. We've seen highways, we've seen roads built up, and it's taken a long time to build. So if there's a way to fix the water, maybe in 10 years, I'm not sure, but think about it for us. They're not afraid to pay, but they won't say it. They're getting so used to it. I've seen children hair go yellow. It's very nasty. Why we love our family and our kids, think about the water, please. Because some people get so used to it, they even drink it, which is so nasty. I'm so sorry. But yeah, do that for us.
Yes.
Can I ask you to spell your last name, please?
My last name is long.
That's
La
okay.
Venture Ferrer, LAVENTURE. Second last name Ferrer, F as in Frank, ERRER.
Thank you. We have to have it for the records. And I just want, how long have you lived in Lakewood Park?
I lived there from 2016. I even bought a home in the new community. But just not to be selfish, we are the only one that have good water in there.
Okay, I don't want to type a lot of time because we have a lot to cover tonight,
Yes.
but there was a ballot that went out 2 years ago to the residents in Lakewood Park
Yeah.
to see if they wanted us to bring in the utilities of water, and the majority of the parks voted no. So at that point, we decided to not move forward. There are streets in there that do have the capability because a developer has brought it to their development, which has come through a couple of the roads. So if you want to call my office, I will sit down and talk to you and see if your road or somebody that's close to you has it, if there's a path forward for you to be able to end up with. There are a couple houses in there that have it on several roads. Is Rebecca here? Or George could probably answer this. So when I was out there about 6 months ago to address this, the majority of the park still did not want water. I had a town hall meeting, and 90% of the people that showed, there was only 2 in the room that wanted it. So it's something that we keep going back to. We're willing to bring it in, but we're not going to bring it in if the majority of the people don't want it. It's costly. It is a lot of money. You have to pay for it, and it does get put on your taxes over a period of 10 years, but people can't afford that, and our taxes are already where they are, and they don't want to have their taxes go up any more than they have to. So unfortunately, the majority has voted no to have the water come through. But I will sit down with you, and I will explain and go in more detail with you if you want. You can call my office. Rebecca, what is your address? Don't tell me the house number, just what road?
5349 Oakland Lake Circle.
Is that one of the roads? It's close?
That's the one with the gate, with the only one with good water. The vote
shouldn't be right now a real vote. What I'm saying is, there's still the same people 80 years ago has been living in Lakewood Park. The same answer you had 80 years or probably 100 years ago, you will still get it. There's not much young people that bought new house in Lakewood Park. People get discouraged just because of the water. They will pass us.
Okay, well, call. I'm going to give you my phone number.
Yeah.
You call me, and I don't want to tie everybody's time up.
Yeah,
This is something we can
I'm
talk
good.
about.
But thank you so much for listening. I do appreciate everybody here.
Thank you for being here with us.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else wishing to address the board on this item? Okay. I'm going to go ahead and close public comment and come back to the board for a motion.
Motion to approve.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank
All right. Good evening, Corey. All right, this item, Muller Road subdivision, is quasi judicial. Commissioner Classy?
I've spoken with staff on this one.
Steph. Corey and Ben?
Staff.
Corey and Ben.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. Corey Benton, Planning and Zoning Manager for the record, joined by Grant Chambers, Senior Project Engineer with our Public Works team. I'm filling in for Tom Reed's Planner 2 to present this road paving waiver filed by Russell and Connie Grace for just over 30 acres of property on the north side of Muller Road. The public hearing for this road paving waiver was adequately noticed via mailed notice to owners of property within 500 feet and a display ad published in our local newspaper. As noted, the site is located on the north side of Muller Road, immediately south of 10 Mile Creek, east of 11 Mile Road. Access to the site, which is displayed on this property, can be made from Midway Road, navigating north on 11 Mile Road, then east on Muller Road, or from Okeechobee to the north, southbound on 11 Mile Road, and then east to Muller Road. 11 Mile Road, although partially paved, is quite narrow, averaging roughly 12 feet in width. And then Muller Road, which is in relatively decent shape for a narrow paved roadway, is also averaging roughly 12 feet. So in theory, it's paved, but it's substandard and does not meet county specifications. The property owners are pursuing a site plan and a plat to divide the 30.8 acres into 3 parcels, each approximately 10 acres in size, 1 to retain, and then 2 additional lots to potentially transact to family members. Our county code requires paved access to projects requiring site plan approval. Therefore, an alternative is for the property owners to petition a road paving waiver from the Board of County Commissioners, where the proposal can meet certain criteria and specifications. The standard, the criteria that they're pursuing this paving waiver under is, number 1, paving is not essential to provide adequate access. As this proposal is for 3 large tracts in the agricultural 2.5 zone, where in that the lots proposed are 4 times the minimum standard of that zoning district, and the division does not allow for significant increase in development capacity, comparable to other subdivisions of agricultural nature adjacent along Muller Road. Staff is supporting and has evaluated both the request to waive the paving requirement, but also the proportionate fair share requirement. So to provide context to that, the applicant's representative, who is Haley Ward, Mark Landsman and Brad Curry of Haley Ward, they compiled analysis of what the cost would be to pave Muller Road from 11 Mile Road east in front of the project site, which would tally approximately $2.9 million. Then they provided a prorated ratio of what the frontage of this 30.8 acre tract is, and that equates to roughly $149,000. Proportionate fair shares, when required and contributed to St. Lucie County, they're held for up to 10 years, and where the county does not move forward with advancing the paving or improvements, those funds are returned and issued back. Given our capital improvement plan and the limited development activities on Muller Road, which are limited to large lot, single-family homes and some miscellaneous agricultural activities. The county staff is not envisioning that this roadway would be improved in that near term. Of course, the board has the opportunity to attach conditions necessary to minimize the impacts of the waiver on the surrounding area, including but not limited to the developer's fair share contribution toward future paving, if that's something that the county might be inclined to do. That said, with our staff's evaluation and compliance with the criteria, staff is supporting that the board grants not only the road paving waiver, but also waiver of the proportionate fair share, given the limited density or intensity that can be developed with this property, with the condition that the current and future owners and their assigns agree to participate and shall be an automatic yes vote in a lawfully established municipal service benefit unit or taxing unit for future improvements to paving or drainage to Muller Road. And such a standard, if applied with the road paving waiver, would be documented on the plat for the subdivision of this property into 3 lots. And simply for context, here's a snapshot of that proposed subdivision that's been evaluated by the Development Review Committee and has been indicated to meet all of our county land development code and comprehensive plan standards with setbacks and separation from 10 Mile Creek. Again, this component is not subject to the board's review, but certainly the road paving waiver. The applicant's representatives are present, and of course, staff's available for any questions.
All right, thank you, Corey. Does the applicant want to get up and say something? Good evening, Mr. Curry.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. For the record, Brad Curry with Haley Ward. Appreciate staff's presentation. We have nothing else to add, just here to answer any questions you may have regarding the project.
Perfect, thank you. Any questions at this point? All right, I'm going to go ahead and open it up to the public. This is a public hearing item. Anyone wishing to address the board on this item? Seeing no movement, I'll come back to the board. Move approval. We have a motion.
Second.
And a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Corey. Thank you, Grant. All right, County Attorney.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, for the record, Catherine Barbieri, Interim County Attorney. But what you have before you is Resolution 25-144, Solid Waste Final Assessment Resolution. The Board has the authority to impose annual assessments for solid waste collection, disposal, and administrative services, facilities, and programs against certain property within St. Lucie County. The Board initially levied recurring annual assessments on residential properties within the county solid waste urban service areas for the purpose of including solid waste fees on September 14, 2004. This method of collection is in lieu of the garbage hauler billing the property owners directly for the garbage and recycler fees. The state statute authorized collection of special assessments on the tax bill, requires notice to affected property owners, and a public hearing in certain instances where the amount of the annual assessment is increased. On July 1 of this year, the Board adopted the Resolution 25061, which was the preliminary assessment resolution, which initiated the process required to impose the solid waste assessment for the fiscal year commencing October 1, 2025. The preliminary assessment resolution scheduled a public hearing for tonight to consider adopting a final resolution approving the solid waste assessment rule for fiscal year 2025-26 and directed the mailing and publication of notice for the affected property owners. The attached solid waste final assessment resolution concludes the process required to impose solid waste assessments for the fiscal year commencing October 1, 2025 at a rate of $468 per dwelling unit. The resolution also provides that the maximum rate that can be charged in future fiscal years without further notice is $485 per dwelling unit, approves the assessment roll for said fiscal year to be collected, and directs delivery of this roll to the tax collector for collection of the assessment on the 2025 property tax bill. For fiscal year 2025-26, the assessment rate is established at $468, an increase from the prior year of which was $385.44, which is $6.80 a month increase. The maximum assessment rate authorized for future fiscal year remains unchanged from the previous years. This is a public hearing. It has been properly noticed. and staff is recommending the board adopt the solid waste final assessment resolution and authorize the chair to sign the resolution.
Okay, thank you. This is a public hearing item. Anyone wishing to address the board? Seeing no movement, I'll close public comment and come back to the board. Questions, comments, motion?
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Clasby.
I'm in support of this evening, but just so that way we can be clear to the public on this, I don't know if George is the right person to ask or who, but what would be the consequences if we did not approve this evening?
So if we didn't approve the annual assessment, we would have no way to pay the contractor Waste Pro for collection, and then also no way to pay for the residents would have no way to pay unless they paid out of pocket, each individual for disposal of their garbage. And then we'd have to go back and look at the ordinance that the county has in place that has to have mandatory collection within the urban service boundary. So we'd be violating our own ordinance also as well by not moving forward with this.
So from my rough math is about a 21% increase, $83 per house, like what was said. I'm not going to do anything that will risk the 2-day a week service to our customers, ratepayers. So I'm in support of it.
All right, that sort of sounded like a motion. Did you want to go ahead and?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, number 2.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, for the record, Catherine Barbieri, Interim County Attorney. What we have before you is Ordinance 2518, establishing the Pineapple Grove Community Development District. Attached to the background you've received is a copy of a petition to establish the Pineapple Grove Community Development District, which approved would establish the Pineapple Grove Community Development District, a development located northwest of Kings Highway and south of Angle Road. This ordinance has special conditions agreed to by the developer that they were not required to, which the district says that the district shall take affirmative steps to provide for the full disclosure of information relating to the public financing and maintenance of improvements to real property undertaken by the district. Such information shall be made available to all existing residents and to all prospective residents of the district. Additionally, it says, following the establishment of the district, each contract for initial sale of parcel of real property and each contract for the initial sale of a residential unit within the district shall include immediately prior to the space reserved in the contract for the signature of the purchaser, the full disclosure statement in boldface and conspicuously typed that says the Pineapple Grove Community Development District may impose and levy taxes or assessments or both taxes and assessments on this property. These taxes and assessments pay the construction, operation, and maintenance costs of certain public facilities and services of the district and are set annually by the governing board of the district. These taxes and assessments are in addition to county and other local government taxes and assessments, and all the taxes and assessments provided by for law. In addition, they have agreed that when 15% of the planned lots from the district have been platted and sold to end users, the landowners of the lands within the district shall cause one position of the Board of Supervisors to be filled by a qualified elector of the district. This has been properly noticed, and it is a public hearing, and staff is recommending the board adopt Ordinance 2518.
All right, thank you. This is a public hearing item. Anyone wishing to address the board on this item? Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Jared Earlywine. I'm with QTAC Rock here on behalf of the petitioner. Just really here to answer any questions you all may have.
Thank you, Jared. Any other public comments? Seeing none, I'll close public comment, come back to the board. Questions, comments, a motion?
I'll move approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed.
Any opposed?
Opposed.
Okay. So 3-2 on that. Clasby and Commissioner Clasby and Commissioner Lowry were opposed, and then myself, Commissioner Lee, and Commissioner Townsend were for it. Jer and Mr. Palumbo, I just want to thank you. It's probably not from this dais, but if anyone who has sat with me, planning, administration, they know I have not been a fan of CDDs for a number of reasons. 3 years into it, right? You start one way and you wind up another. And I just want to point out, and thank you for adding in the additional, so what they're offering is they're bringing on a resident. How far in? Is it a year? Correct me if I'm...
After we have 15% of the lots developed, at that point, when we have our next landowners election, we'll put a resident on the board at that point. So it is earlier than the statutory requirement.
It's much earlier, and a lot of what I've learned the residents don't like about the CDDs really is just they're very nervous about taking over and being responsible for it, and they're the one CDD that is an issue for me in our shared district. It just, they've not made the process very good for the residents. And so I want to thank you guys for taking the time to hear me, listen to me, and respond by putting these additional safeguards. So I know I have comfort in knowing that this will be turned over in a timely manner and that the residents are going to have comfort in knowing they know what's going on before you hand the torch to them. So thank you.
Absolutely. Happy to work with you all. And just for the folks who may not be as supportive, I would point out too, I think the county board just approved a number of different special taxing districts and was also talking about stormwater. These are the types of things that CDDs can help with. Yeah. And if they're properly managed and whatnot, they're a really fantastic tool for the community and also for the county. So.
The management is the key there. And this truly is the vehicle for us to put the burden of new growth and development on the backs of those that are moving into it, because those are literally the people that are paying for it. So, yeah, again, just wanted to thank you guys very much. So. All right, moving on, we are moving back into planning and development, Corey and Ben, with Land America. And then for my fellow commissioners, what we're going to do after the 11C1, we're going to segue right into the
12B1.
12B1, so we do them together. Yes, thank you. Good evening to hear.
Good evening. For the record, Ty here, Curry, Planner 2 with the Planning Department. The presentation has been combined for 11C1 for the conditional use and 12B1 for the major site plan to allow for the development of a 3-story, 108,000 climate control interior access self-storage facility known as Land America. For the conditional use, it was properly noticed on August 22nd, 2025, with a sign placed on the property. A notice is sent out within 500 feet. Also placed in the St. Lucie County News Tribune. It was sent out to 45 property owners within 500 feet. Here's the area of the subject site outlined in blue. Is a 3.24 acre site located northwest corner of Midway Road and Selvix. The property is zoned planned non-residential development with a commercial future land use. The site is located within the urban service boundary. The proposed self-storage facility is located west of the existing Wawa convenience store with plans to further subdivide the 3.24 acre parcel into a 2.44 acre parcel where the self-storage will be located on, and the remaining amount will be 0.84, which will be for a future commercial parcel. As mentioned, it is planned non-residential development. This is just some history of the site. As I noted, it was back in 2019 where it was zoned to planned non-residential development. The Wawa was built into, well, it's approved in 2022. 2023 is where the subdivision came into place, where it's subdivided into 2 parcels. And also back in last year of 2024, it was allowed that that self-storage facilities will be eligible as a conditional use and allowable height not to exceed 45 feet. That was a major adjustment to a PNRD. Here's a site plan before you, showing that it will include office space, 13 parking spaces, 2 loading zones, bicycle rack, dumpster enclosure, sidewalk connectivity, landscaping. So this is the site before you. As noted, it will be a 3-story self-storage facility. You have the office entrance southeast corner of the building, and general building access to the east entrance. The site will include the features I did note. Sidewalk connectivity will be provided along Midway Road, along with future pedestrian connections to the future development parcel in Wawa. The applicant is proposing 24-hour building access through a security access control system, but the hours of operations, office hours will be like your standard 8 to 6, 8 to 5. Also, a shared access agreement has been put into place. As you can see west of your screen where it has shared access, that will be where the access agreement was executed for Wawa and the future development site. So that will be a shared access that has been established and put in place. Just showing the landscaping plan, showing the foundational plantings along the building. To the north of the site, it will have a wall. It will be a precast concrete wall installed. It will be 6 feet in height. It will be installed on top of a 2-foot berm, which will be 8 foot, and also screening for landscaping along both sides to reduce any impacts to the northern property owner. It will go all the way along the property line and connect to the existing wall behind Wawa site. And also we show some nice landscaping along Midway Road, as you can see in the landscape plan. Here's just to show the architectural elevations, that it will meet the architectural elevations standards for the community architectural, including Bahama shutters, square columns, canopies, arches, things like that in the site. So actually the minimum is 6, but it has more than the required amount. It's about 10 or 11 architectural features that it is including within the building. So it will be 43 in height, which is within that allowable approval major adjustment we did last year. So won't go exceed 45 feet in height. So they did hold a meeting on March 24, 2025 at the White City Improvement Club. Also, the Planning and Zoning Commission on July 17, 2025 did vote unanimously to recommend approval with a couple conditions that they did have. We did receive a notice from a property owner within the 500 feet. They are against the project, but they did not state or provide any information on why they are against it. And just, our standard land development code provides conditions, standards of review, I should say, for the conditional use permit, just making sure that it will not have an adverse effect on nearby property owners, steps taken to minimize any adverse effect on the surrounding areas. Does the site have adequate public facilities? It will have water and sewer services connected. Fire protection is not too far from the site along Midway Road. Any environmental impacts, that will be through the Environmental Resource Department, ensuring that there will be no any environmental impacts to the site. This conditional use permit and major site plan conforms to the standards of review as set forth in the St. Lucie County Land Development Code, Section 110207 and 110703, and is consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the St. Lucie County Comprehensive Plan. Staff recommends the Board of County Commissioners approve this conditional use permit and major site plan subject to the following conditions. Just if there's any ground or wall signs that will require review from the planning department. Tree mitigation plan, also any vegetation removal permit exemption. Gopher tortoise survey conducted. Also, any category invasive plants shall be eradicated from the site. Of course, that requires a permit. And a site development permit is required for the work that will be done on site. This concludes staff presentation. The applicants do have a presentation as well. The applicant's team.
Okay, thank you. Anyone have any questions before I bring up the applicant? No? Good evening.
Good evening. For the record, I'm Lee Dobbins with the D&B Law Firm here in Fort Pierce, representing the applicant, Land America. I want to thank staff for their hard work on this. Mr. Curry did a great job and covered a lot of the things I was going to say, so I will be brief. So as Mr. Curry indicated, the PNRD for this was approved as part of the Wawa project. That PNRD allowed for self-storage, but it only allowed it as a single-story self-storage. My client, Land America, identified this as a good location for a self-storage site. There's a need for it in the area, good access to a major east-west road. But nobody's really doing those one-story type self-storage with where you see all the garage doors. That's not the product anymore, and that's probably not what you guys want to see anyway. So we came to the county last year and we got an amendment to the PNRD to allow self-storage as a conditional use up to 45 feet. That was approved unanimously by the board last year, and so now we are coming forward under that amendment to the PNRD tonight to get the conditional use approval. After getting that approval, that amendment to the PNRD last year, my client, Land America, purchased the property from Wawa, I believe in August of last year, so they are the landowner at this point. Just got a couple of slides I want to show you so you can see the appearance of the project. So you already saw the building elevations. There's the front elevation, which is what you would see from the Wawa side. The one on the bottom is showing what it looks like from Midway Road. I mean, they went to pains to try to make this, an attractive building in recognition that this is a major corridor for the county. And then these are the back sides of the building. This is a better rendering. You can see how it fits on the site. Again, you're looking at the corner with the Wawa, and you can see the main side of the building facing the Wawa, the main entrance. And then that's showing what it looks like from Midway Road. And then looking from the west, where you're kind of looking at the backside. That's the site plan and the landscape plan. I want to talk about this briefly. At the planning board, the planning board recommended approval of the project, but the neighbors immediately to the north asked that we replace the fence that was then shown on the site plan, which ran along the north property line. They asked that it be replaced with a concrete wall. The reason for that is they felt that would provide a better buffer to their property, and they had also had some negative experiences apparently with the fence along the Wawa property to our east that had fallen down during a hurricane last year and apparently stayed down for some length of time. So they requested a concrete wall. My client instructed our team to update the site plan, so it now provides for a concrete wall. We also had added some additional landscaping on the north side of the wall, facing where the residents to the north are. There was also a concern raised that maybe the windows on the north side might look down into their property, so the plans with the county were updated to include a notation confirming that those are faux windows. So there's no windows on the north side that would be looking down at the neighbors. So with that, Staff has indicated that we've met the standards of review and are recommending approval, subject to certain conditions of approval that are listed in the staff report and the resolution. We have no objection to any of those conditions, and so tonight we're requesting approval of the conditional use. The site plan is also on the agenda for you tonight, the final site plan approval, and so we're requesting approval of that as well. And our team is here to answer any questions that you might have of us.
All right, thank you, Mr. Dobbins. Commissioner Townsend, quasi judicial, start down there with you.
The applicant, Mr. Dobbins, staff.
Staff and applicant.
Corey and Ben.
Corey and Ben. Met with the applicant staff.
All right, and before I open this up to public comment, any questions, comments? No? Okay. All right, this is a public hearing item. Anyone wishing to address the board? Seeing no movement, close public comment, come back to the board.
I'd like to make a motion for approval, but prior to that, just say thank you for addressing some of these additional site plan concerns with the wall and the landscaping and the windows. That's greatly appreciated. So I'd like to motion for approval based off staff's recommendation.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we're gonna skip to 12B1, which is a regular agenda item. And this is gonna be the site plan for the Wawa. Or the self-storage next to the Wawa. My apologies.
Commissioner, I don't believe there's a second presentation because it was combined. If you'd like to make a motion based on the information that was
I was
provided.
going to say, Madam Chair, I'll make the motion if you need me to, because I'm okay with everything the way it was. And so I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Do we, on 12B though, do we need, it's quasi judicial, correct, Maite?
Yes.
So we need to disclose, so my
Disclosures.
disclosure is the same.
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 Staff, same.
Met with staff and the applicant.
Okay. All right, perfect. All right, so we're done with that one. And moving on to Brock's Pizzeria. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Good evening, Thad.
Good evening. Madam Chair, Commissioners, Thad Crow, for the record, Senior Planner, Planning and Development Services. This is a proposed amendment to the Land Development Code as proposed by the applicant, which in this case is Brock's Pizzeria. For this, only advertising is required, and the ad did run as required. The applicant is requesting an LDC text amendment that would basically allow for the service of distilled spirits, liquor, mixed drinks through the conditional use permit process in the CN Commercial Neighborhood Zoning District. So essentially, this sets the stage for more specific conditional use review by allowing in the code, in the CN district, restaurants that are really restaurants, bona fide restaurants. In other words, their revenue primarily comes from food, less than 4,000 square feet. It would allow alcohol sales between 7 a.m. to 10 p.m., drive-through lanes prohibited, pickup windows allowed. This does have two companion petitions that will be following this at a later meeting, one for a conditional use permit for Brock's Pizzeria, and also the waiver from the minimum 1,600-foot distance between alcohol service and parks. There is a beach park to the north within that 1,600 feet. We do believe, staff believes, the text amendment is consistent with the comprehensive plan. It does provide the opportunity for small businesses, in this case restaurants, to expand their operations. It does, we believe, a wide variety of dining services can support the quality of life for residents and visitors to the county. Restaurants of a small scale like this, they do serve the surrounding neighborhood residents, particularly those who live within walking distance, and this helps to reduce vehicle trips on the roadways. conditional use permits for non-conforming properties, it also gives us an opportunity to bring properties into compliance through the conditional use permit process, mostly through improving the landscaping and parking standards and limitations that may be appropriate, such as hours of operation. So looking quickly at the review criteria, one is consistency with existing and proposed land uses. My answer to many of these criteria is going to be the same. It's a case-by-case basis as each project comes along. And we now require neighborhood meetings, so that will engage property owners and get residents involved early on in the process. Another criterion is, are there change conditions? Really, the primary change condition has been, in the face of COVID, changes to alcohol licensure and services, basically allowing more opportunities for alcohol service. For example, during COVID, alcohol package sales, restaurants were allowed to do package sales in conjunction with food orders. Another criterion was demand on public facilities, and again, on a case-by-case basis, this can be determined with each review. The text amendment does provide some baseline size limitations and hours limitations, but beyond that, the board is certainly able to layer on additional conditions. Effect on property values. I'm broken record here, case-by-case basis. Everyone might be different, and I think you have the opportunity to make that judgment as each one comes along. Again, this does not change the zoning of any property. It just modifies the commercial neighborhood zoning district to allow for this one specific service of alcohol. Orderly and logical development pattern. So when cases come in front of you, you can again look at them to determine how this will affect the development pattern in the vicinity. Conflict with the public interest. This is an important part of the conditional use permit process, is to look at the public interest as is gauged by what the people are telling you who come to speak to it. And of course, if there's other issues during that conditional use process, you can certainly raise them. It's appropriate to raise them. The Planning and Zoning Commission did hold a public hearing at their August 21st meeting recently. We did have 4 citizens speak to this. Only one actually addressed the text amendment. The others were referring specifically to the conditional use permit for Brock's Pizzeria, which will come to you at a later date. These concerns basically centered on impacts to the nearby residential areas. The Planning and Zoning Commission did vote 4-1 to recommend approval of the amendment. We do find this amendment to meet the standards of review, as we just went over quickly, and not in conflict with the comp plan. We recommend that you schedule the required second reading to consider adoption of this amendment at your October 7th meeting. And again, quickly, this would allow for the service of distilled spirits, not spirits, in bona fide restaurants that are less than 4,000 square feet in floor area, with alcohol sales limited to 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. with drive-through lanes prohibited. Pickup windows are allowed. Happy to answer any questions, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Thad. Any questions? No? Okay. This is a public hearing item. Anyone wishing to address the board? Seeing no movement, close public comment.
Madam Chair, I want to make a motion to approve, and I want to say that there was about 5 years ago, I passed a bill actually, so that small mom and pop restaurants, mainly pizzerias, because beer and wine is not that feasible, and a lot of times people want to go and they want to have a drink, but they don't drink beer and wine. So that bill was passed here in St. Lucie County for this purpose, so that the small mom and pops could offer a full bar and let them be more sustainable to be able to stay open and whatever. So I'm glad to see that a small restaurant's finally coming in and implementing that use, because Buffalo Chop House was the first one to do it, and this is the second one to take advantage of that. So I make a motion to approve.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Fleisman?
I'd like to just comment on this real quick. I've received numerous phone calls with some pretty interested folks out on South Beach, South Hutch, and I just wanted to go ahead and verify that I believe that this is a good thing, because it helps small businesses. I think this is new, definitely is new. That's why it's coming before us. But I just wanted to reassure some people that this is only, I'm going to restate some of the things that was said by staff's presentation. It's only allowed in bona fide restaurants. The restaurants have to be under 4,000 square feet. It's for the hours of service, 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. It doesn't allow drive-through lanes, but it does allow pickup windows. And again, this is a conditional use, so any of the neighborhood, commercial neighborhood zoning areas will have to come to us and ask for this, which gives us another carrot to help them improve their properties, like we've done recently. So I'm also in favor of this, and I would go ahead and offer the second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you, Pat. All right, and moving into our text amendment for the milestone inspection guidelines. Good evening, Ben. So, Commissioner Crosby, Brock's is Surfside. It's Brock's Surfside.
Right.
It's been out there since we were kids. You have to know that it's been out there, right?
Talking about the ordinance we're
Okay.
pushing forward is new.
I thought, restaurant, yeah. I thought you were talking about the restaurant.
New
I was
opportunities
like, wait
for
a minute, what?
businesses.
Yeah, they've been there forever.
They've been
Yeah,
there
I've-
forever. Some great pizza. Almost
been
30
there.
years, I think. It's, yeah. Yeah, I've never
I believe
been.
there's a new owner, though.
Yes, there is. Definitely that. I was just going to say, if you haven't been out there and had the pizza, you need to try it.
Oh, I'm Definitely going.
Awesome.
Okay, sorry.
No worries.
Little
I
detour.
like pizza too, especially right now, this time of evening.
Yeah.
Good evening, Chair Fowler, Commissioners, Ben Balser, Planning and Development Services Director. For the record, I'm here tonight to introduce our county building official, Michael Jarahan, who's going to walk you through the county-initiated text amendment. This is one of those text amendments that stems from a legislative update from this past session. Something that the county is required to do is related to milestone inspections. You all are familiar with those mandatory inspections for those types of buildings, those co-op and condo association buildings. But MJ will go into the details. I just wanted to notice that this item was properly noticed on Friday, August 22nd, in accordance with our public notice requirements. A newspaper ad was posted in the St. Lucie Tribune. And without further ado, I'll turn it over to MJ to explain milestone inspections and where the state legislature is at currently.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Commissioners. For the record, Michael Jarahan, St. Lucie County Building Official. In May of 2022, Senate Bill 4D was signed into law in response to the Champlain Tower that collapsed in 2021. This mandated the structural inspections for condos and co-ops 3 stories or higher every 30 years of the building's age, and if they're within 3 miles of the coastline, within 25 years, and then every 10 years thereafter. These mandated structural inspections happen in 2 phases, phase 1 being mandatory for all structures, and phase 2 being mandatory if there was any substantial structural deterioration found during phase 1. Phase 1 being more visual, phase 2 possibly being more destructive in nature to see what the extent of that damage is. Originally, prior to July 1, 2025, these repairs that were recommended out of the phase 2 inspection that find what those damages are were required to commence within 365 days, and it was allowable for Board of County Commissioners to adopt a time frame for those repairs to commence or be scheduled. As of July 1, 2025, with House Bill 913, it's now mandatory that we adopt some kind of time frame. And so what we're proposing in this ordinance is that those repairs recommended in that phase 2 milestone inspection commence within 180 days, and it also cannot exceed that 365 days that the state's put into there. We recommended the 180 days as a safety factor that these repairs actually commence or be scheduled and work actually be done where there is substantial structural deterioration is found. And we thought that it would be a fair enough time frame for them to gather that information to get those repairs commenced, but still tight enough to where, again, safety is addressed. With that, we did get a recommendation of approval from the Planning and Zoning Commission, and I also reached out to the Treasure Coast Builders Association and the President's Council of Hutchinson Island. We received no objections or any opposition from the Treasure Coast Builders Association. There were a couple questions that stemmed from the President's Council of Hutchinson Island regarding what was considered commencing. And it was explained that even scheduling the work or consulting with the engineers and everything to address those concerns are possible, and that there's always the opportunity for an extension request if we see good faith put forward I haven't heard anything back from them after answering those questions, but with that, I'm happy to answer any other questions. And I
Alright.
just wanted to mention that this is the first reading of this proposed ordinance. We're looking for the board to schedule the second reading to adopt the proposed ordinance on September 16th, 2025 at your 9 a.m. meeting.
Perfect. Okay. All right, I'm going to open this up to public comment. Anyone wishing to address the board on this item? Seeing no movement, close public comment, come back to the board.
I'd like a motion for approval.
Commissioner Clasby has made a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, our ear-based amendments.
All right. Good evening again, Chair Fowler and Commissioners. Ben Balser, Planning and Development Services Director. For the record, with me is Corey Benton. He is our Planning and Zoning Manager. And in the crowd, we have Amy Dinter and Jim Hickey. They are with CGA, our county's planning consulting firm. They have been assisting us with this project, which is our ear-based amendments. Tonight, we're here to walk you through these amendments. It's also, so ear-based amendments, it's our evaluation and appraisal review, amendments to the county's comprehensive plan. These amendments are required by state law, but more importantly, they make sure our plan reflects what is happening today in St. Lucie County, and we're planning for at least 10 years into the future. Florida has a clear planning framework. It is set by the Community Planning Act and in state statutes, which requires every local government to maintain a comprehensive plan and update it periodically. The idea is to give jurisdictions the tools to manage growth responsibly while staying consistent with state requirements. The purpose of the comprehensive plan is to set the county's vision for the future. It guides where growth occurs, how we might invest in infrastructure, and how we protect natural resources. The proposed updates we're discussing tonight were adequately noticed in the St. Lucie News Tribune on August 22nd. The county's comprehensive plan includes 10 state-required elements, including the future land use element, which is the primary element and contains the future land use map, which guides anticipated future growth in the county. The transportation, housing, infrastructure, coastal management, conservation, recreation, and open space, intergovernmental coordination, capital improvements, and private property rights elements complement the future land use element. The state also allows for local governments to adopt optional local elements. We have 4. Those include the economic development, towns, villages, and countryside, public school facilities, and the rural land stewardship area elements. Each element is supported by goals, objectives, and policies, plus supporting data and analysis, including population and demographic updates, studies, and maps, so our policies are rooted in accurate data and information. By law, the county must evaluate our plan every 7 years. We sent notice to the Department of Commerce in September of 2024, and they gave us until September 30th, 2025 to transmit the updated plan to the state and other reviewing state agencies for their review. Our last update was in 2018. So this round includes new census and demographic data, new population projections, and changes in state law. The Planning and Zoning Commission reviewed these amendments on August 20th at a special Planning and Zoning meeting and suggested some changes, but ultimately they motioned to recommend that the board transmit these amendments to the state. And we'll go over the amendments that the Planning and Zoning Commission suggested. What's in your packet tonight shows a strike-through for deletions and underlined language for any proposed additions. There are several legislative changes that occurred since our last major update in 2018, which now must be reflected in our plan. A few examples of those include the 2021 amendment that required all local governments to adopt a private property rights element, which we subsequently adopted the state's model ordinance in 2021. Also in 2021, the state mandated that solar facilities must be a permitted use in all agricultural land use categories. In 2023, the state adopted a new 10-year minimum planning period requirement and required that sanitary sewer feasibility reviews are completed for certain subdivisions. In 2024, the state mandated that natural gas facilities must be permitted in all commercial and industrial land use categories. And most recently, this past legislative session, Senate Bill 180 effectively prevents local governments from adopting stricter land use regulations than those in place before Hurricanes Debbie, Helene, and Milton. And this law is effective through October 1st, 2027. In order to comply with these new laws, where the county really has no discretion, we've added solar facilities to ag land use categories, public natural gas facilities in commercial and industrial categories, and electrical substations in most land use categories. We've added policies on rural land protection, supporting the state's programs, proportionate fair share payments for transportation concurrency, and sewer feasibility reviews for subdivisions that include 50 or more residential lots. We're going to go through each element one by one, but the future land use element was updated with the latest population data and projections. We've also completed a vacant land analysis inside the urban service boundary. Those results indicated that we have enough vacant land to handle the next 10 years of projected population growth within our existing county urban service boundary. Therefore, we do not see the need to expand the urban service boundary currently. And we've also worked with our GIS division to refresh all the related maps within the future land use element to reflect existing data. This slide highlights examples of our future land use updates. On the left, you'll see revisions to the agricultural land use designations, where we've updated policies to clarify activities like farm operations, forestry, agritourism are supported, and prioritize stormwater and water management quality projects. And also, as previously mentioned, we allowed for solar facilities. On the right, we address private property investment through the inclusion of 2 new policies that ensure lawfully established residential and condominium units can be rebuilt at their original density if they are damaged or destroyed. That is, whether that is from structural deterioration, those milestone inspections, or natural disasters. And this gives property owners certainty that they won't lose property or development rights after a natural disaster, or if their structure needs to be rebuilt due to structural deterioration. The proposed policy on the screen is policy 1.1.1.8. It is a new policy that focuses on workforce and affordable housing, establishes incentives to encourage development of workforce and affordable housing. The underlined text in blue was amended based on input from the Planning and Zoning Commission. Under this revised policy, the board has the option to allow site-specific land use mechanisms, including density bonuses up to 30%, increased lot coverage, and reduced parking requirements if the project is deed restricted as a workforce or affordable housing development. In order to qualify, these projects must be within the urban service boundary, near major employment centers, and serve households at or below 100% of the area median income. The housing must remain deed restricted for at least 50 to 99 years, and that depends on the density bonus that is being granted by the board, and all units must be rented or sold to only eligible households. This slide shows the urban service boundary vacant land analysis, where available land within the urban service boundary was assessed using the most up-to-date data. Our analysis shows that we can accommodate 123% of the projected 10-year population growth within the current urban service boundary. That means that expansion isn't needed right now, and longer-term growth can be directed to the North County expansion or agricultural limited areas where infrastructure could be planned for and extended at a future time. We've updated the text and data within the transportation element to align with the latest information from the Transportation Planning Organization's Smart Move 2045 plan, and incorporated the county's transit development plan for the 2020-2029 time period. We're emphasizing multimodal options, protecting public rights of way, for future transportation needs, addressing flood risks, and encouraging shared stormwater facilities with FDOT and developers to provide for future flood protection and for cost efficiency. The added objective 2.1.1 reinforces support for all modes of transportation, not just looking at roads. The added policy language ensures that proposed land use changes are reviewed for transportation impacts and coordinated with FDOT when state roadways are impacted. On the right, you'll see a new policy that strengthens protections for future transportation corridors to reduce congestion, extend the life of transportation facilities, and improve evacuation routes during storms and emergencies. And on the bottom of the screen, the language aligns our data and policies with the St. Lucie TPO Smart Moves 2045 Long Range Transportation Plan that ensures consistency with regional planning and the current growth patterns. We've also added policy to promote rail safety, plan for future flooding events, and support stormwater infrastructure. We've added language supporting aeronautical growth and development at the Treasure Coast International Airport, as long as the project aligns with the airport master plan and our county's land development code. The county's transportation element contains a port sub-element, which was last updated in 2021. It reflected the most recent 2020 port master plan that the county worked on. The county is currently working on an update to that plan. It will be the 2025 port master plan. And when that is completed, it will also be incorporated into this port sub-element of our comp plan. In the port sub-element, we've clarified that the Board of County Commissioners serve as the county's port authority under Florida statutes. That is a Florida statute requirement. And you shall work with the City of Fort Pierce to implement the port's goals and policies. We've defined that what the responsibilities of Port Director include, which are overseeing port management and operations, ensuring safety and access, protecting environmental resources, and advocating for infrastructure and funding through state and federal programs. And finally, we've added policies to support anchoring limitation areas and removal of derelict vessels. The county will work with the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, the Coast Guard, local law enforcement, and the City of Fort Pierce to promote safe navigation and reduce derelict vessels within the Indian River Lagoon. With the housing element updates, we've refreshed the housing data and population information using the most recent state sources and local county initiatives. We've updated our goals, objectives, and policies to align with the strategies identified in the county's 2024 Housing Needs Assessment and Implementation Plan, and that plan looked at housing needs across all stages of life. The policy language was updated to promote a range of housing options, especially near jobs and transit routes, consistent with affordability definitions in state statute, ensuring that housing costs remain within 30% of the overall household income. On the right, we've tied our updates directly to the 2024 Housing Needs Assessment that identified three main goals. The first looks to strengthen regional capacity and coordination on housing initiatives. The second looks to increase supply and diversity of housing options. And the third looks to improve housing affordability. We've updated the infrastructure element to reflect current conditions, population projections, and the county's investment in expanding water and wastewater facilities. This keeps growth aligned with where infrastructure and services are planned or where they already exist. We've strengthened policies that prevent urban sprawl and ensure that developers cover the cost of infrastructure for projects outside the urban service boundary, ensuring that future growth will pay for itself. We've also acknowledged level of service increases for solid waste management and a policy update to extend the landfill capacity planning period through 2065 and also emphasize interlocal cooperation on recycling. And finally, we're strengthening flood risk policies, including continued enforcement of the county's floodplain regulations, monitoring areas prone to flooding, requiring compliance with the Florida Building Code and FEMA standards, and expanding public outreach on floodplain and stormwater management. These next few slides look at our updates that are proposed for our coastal management element. On the left, we've added language promoting natural resources, resiliency, and water quality. The policies calls for erosion control, specifically along Indian River Drive, wetland protection, and coordination with Everglades restoration and other regional water quality efforts. The policies on the right and the bottom of the screen support public access to boat ramps and parking, and encourage marinas to use clean practices, and the development of hurricane contingency plans for our waterfront facilities. We've also included criteria for evaluating a potential mooring field should the county consider one. These include navigational standards, seagrass protection, and vessel services. We've also incorporated references to the county's vulnerability assessment, the Coastal Barrier Resources Act, and participation in FEMA's community rating system in order to lower our residents' flood insurance costs, and the use of best available data when evaluating the public infrastructure investment or future public infrastructure investment. Staff refreshed the text, data, and tables in the conservation element to reflect the most current conditions. One new policy consideration allows limited wetland impacts for access to single-family home lots. The exception permits limited wetland impacts totaling less than a quarter acre to allow for site access, so long as the impact doesn't compromise the long-term viability of the wetland system. Staff believes that this balances conservation with reasonable private property use. Our recreation and open space element has been updated to reflect the latest information on the county's parks and recreational facilities. This includes including their acreages for level of service standard purposes. The policy updates look to increase access to recreational opportunities through shared use sites and implementation of the 2022 Parks Master Plan. This includes maintaining an inventory of facilities, coordinating with the school board and other agencies to expand access to shared rec sites. We've also added language that supports the county's commitment to protecting environmentally sensitive lands. New language also reinforces support for the state's land acquisition programs. Those include the Florida Forever program and Florida Communities Trust. And we also added a policy to balance private property use while accounting for public beach access and recreational opportunities for St. Lucie County residents and visitors. This slide highlights our intergovernmental coordination updates. We've updated policies to strengthen collaboration with FDOT, the Transportation Planning Organization, the cities, Port St. Lucie and Fort Pierce and St. Lucie Village, and our environmental agencies. This ensures service and infrastructure are coordinated across all jurisdictions. We're also strengthening language on coordinating with the City of Fort Pierce and Port St. Lucie, particularly related to annexation, future annexations. We've updated the data, text, and tables within the capital improvements element to reflect the fiscal year 2024 and 2025 budget cycle, and included the 5-year capital improvement plan. First, we've examined and updated level of service standards for public facilities to reflect the most recent service and population projections. Second, we're reinforcing concurrency policies to ensure public facilities are available or scheduled for timely completion when developments come online. Third, we've incorporated a policy promoting resilient infrastructure, again stating that the county shall use the best available data, including the county's vulnerability assessment, to evaluate flood risks when making future infrastructure investment decisions. The capital improvement plan tables were updated to include the major county projects slated to occur over the next 5 years. These projects are primarily funded through our impact fee program. Projects include road widenings, drainage improvements, sidewalks, and key intersection upgrades across the county. We've refreshed the data and tables within the economic development element to reflect current conditions covering population, household income, property values, and employment. On the policy side, we're strengthening recruitment of high-wage industries, supporting workforce housing near jobs, and reducing the need for residents to commute outside the county. We also focused on supporting existing industries and small businesses by building on our commercial, industrial, and agricultural assets, encouraging entrepreneurship and locally owned businesses. Another important update stemming from the board's recent conversation is establishing a policy for the use of performance-based initiatives for targeted industries or incentives for targeted industries, including job creation, wage thresholds, capital investment, and clawback provisions to ensure accountability. Finally, the policies continue to support the Treasure Coast International Airport and the Port of Fort Pierce as economic drivers within our region. These next slides outline the updates to the towns, villages, and countryside element, or the TVC element. First, we've updated the policies to recognize the expansion of St. Lucie County utilities and incorporate the 2024 TVC Public Input Report, which highlighted challenges with implementing the TVC as originally conceived, such as flowway feasibility, balancing density with resource protection, and traffic management. Additionally, we're updating policies to allow permitting agencies like South Florida Water Management District and the Fort Pierce Farms Water Control District to ensure the TVC flowway system integrates with the regional stormwater standards. We've also replaced outdated maps with maps that show the adopted future street network within the future number of lanes anticipated within the TVC boundary. The map to be added is on the right, and that shows the accurate future lane network within the TVC. The other outdated map within the TVC element is known as the General Retail Development Plan. This was updated also to reflect the revised road network in the county's right-of-way protection plan. We also updated the public school facilities element to reflect the existing interlocal agreement between the county and the public school system, which ensures consistent facility planning and coordination on school facilities. We are not recommending any changes to the rural land stewardship area and the private property rights element. And our county's GIS division updated all of the 26 maps included in the comprehensive plan map series to reflect the most current and relevant data. In closing, these amendments make sure our plan stays compliant with state law, reflects today's realities, and positions us to manage growth responsibly. Staff recommends the board approve transmitting the amendments to the State Land Planning Agency and other state reviewing agencies, and we're happy to answer any questions that you may have.
All right, thank you, Ben. Questions, comments from the board at this moment? All right, this is a public hearing item. Anyone wishing to address the board on this item? Seeing no movement, close public comment, come back to the board.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Cosby.
I'd like to just go ahead and thank staff. I know this is a tremendous amount of work because it was a tremendous amount of stuff to read. So I know that it must have taken a lot longer to go ahead and do it. And I wanted to add that I did watch the Planning and Zoning special meeting on this, and I thought they brought up a couple great points. Typically, I wouldn't be supporting anything that would encourage density bonuses, just as a matter of principle. But with this recommendation of doing a unanimous vote, I feel like I could get behind that, be one more tool in the toolbox, and I think our board's pretty much proved that nothing's an automatic 5-0 vote. So I would be in support of what staff has recommended here with the Planning and Zoning Commission's recommendations as well.
All right. Any other questions, comments? No?
That was a motion.
Right, that's a motion. I'm going to take that as a motion.
I'll
Is there a
second it.
second? All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Good work. All right. So we are done with public hearing items. We're going to swing back around to Ms. Barbieri for opioid litigation.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, for the record, Catherine Barbieri, Interim County Attorney. This is opioid litigation participation form for Purdue Direct Settlement. As you're aware, we've been participating with many other entities in settlements for the National Opioid litigation, and we received an email from our outside attorney recommending that on August 4th that we participate in the opioid implementation administration for the Purdue direct settlement, which included the attached participation package inclusive form for Purdue. The county attorney was subsequently contacted by Eric Romano, and he has sent the letter saying that he recommends we participate in it. It is anticipated that we'll receive some funds for this. In order for us to participate, an authorized representative has to submit the form by September 30th. We did, as our recommendation, recommend that the board accept the special counsel's recommendation to participate and authorize. We had said the chair, but in all the previous ones, I believe the county attorney has signed the participation form because it's legal litigation. And if you would be willing to make the motion that the interim county attorney sign it, I think that's the way the form is set up right now. So that would be my only modification.
Okay. All right, understood. Questions, comments?
Motion to approve with the change.
Second. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And we already did 12B1, so moving right into 12C1, last item. Good evening.
Good evening. There we go.
Perfect.
Good evening, Madam Chair,
Good evening.
Vice Chair, Commissioners, and Administration. Adolfo Cavelli, St. Lucie County Transit Director. Thank you very much for your time. I put together a short presentation regarding best practices, standards, and expectations relating to the request for proposals process regarding transit and third-party contracting, and then we're here to answer any questions. Section 1.7.5 of the Federal Transit Administration and Lessons Learned Manual states that best value means the expected outcome of an acquisition that, in the recipient's estimation, provides the greatest overall benefit in response to its material requirements. Section 4.3.1 from Third-Party Contracting Guideline Manual states best value describes a competitive negotiated procurement process whereby an agency reserves the right to select the offer deemed most advantageous and of the greatest value to the agency. Federal procurement standards. The federal procurement regulations under 2 CFR 200.317-200.327 and the FTA third-party contracting guidance require procurements to be full and open, competitive, and avoid undue restrictions on competition. When price is not the only priority and qualitative differences are material, an RFP process with multiple evaluation criteria is required. Examples and exceptions. Price-based awards are appropriate to encourage in micro purchases defined as under $2,500 in our transit procurement manual, or small purchases defined as $2,500.01 to $35,000 in our transit procurement manual, where price is the main differentiating factor. Request for proposal is award based on best value, typically includes price plus other factors. Price alone is insufficient. RFPs involve evaluation of proposals that include price and non-price factors. Price can be an important factor, but not the only one. Nature of RFPs. According to the Federal Transit Administration Circular 4220.1G and associated third-party contracting guidance, an RFP is intended to procure goods or services where factors beyond price, such as technical quality, experience, management approach, or other performance-related criteria are relevant and important. The procurement process expects consideration of multiple evaluation factors, with price not being the sole determinant. This is a scoring criteria that was used. This, along with the entire RFP, was sent to the Florida Department of Transportation and the Federal Transit Administration for review. Neither had comments During the RFP process, we did reach out to the FTA regarding a request to take away past records and references from the scoring criteria. After receiving a question from one of the proposers, the FTA told us they supported us leaving it in there. This is a snapshot of routes and services provided under this RFP. This concludes my presentation. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Adolfo. Appreciate it. Are there any questions, comments from the board?
I have just a comment.
Commissioner Lowry?
Just thought I should speak just because I'm the one that pulled this last time. And I appreciate, all the hard work that's gone into this process. What I have realized in the process is that this is a little different than like a typical contract. A roofing contractor coming up $13 million short of another contract bid would be alarming. But in this case, there's a lot more that goes involved in the bidding process, and I've seen that. To me, I'm very comfortable moving forward with NV Transportation because of so many different factors. It's a little different to shift gears and to jump into another transit when we've had such success in Adolfo. I know you guys have worked so hard. I don't want to jeopardize the quality of the service that we have been receiving. So, even though I did pull it, I really spent some time looking into it, and I just wanted to thank you. I know it's, difficult, and you do an amazing job, and I just wanted to say thanks, and hopefully we'll come to agreement tonight to get this moving so we're not having any interruption in service.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Lowry.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Clasby?
I'll also be supporting staff's recommendation this evening. However, I would like to have a discussion of scope and what's required in bid packages as a board at a future informal meeting.
Okay, absolutely. Any
Madam
other?
Chair,
Commissioner Townsend?
like I stated the last time, first of all, I want to thank both of the companies that are here tonight. I know that you don't live here and you had to travel, so thank you for coming. It does matter that you were here, and I know, Adam, you wouldn't be representing a company that was not upstanding, so I know that you have to be a good company. But with all that said, Adolfo, you've done a great job. You came into this position during this transition, and it wasn't easy. And because of the relationship that you have formed with MV and staff, and MV kept on our staff, and they kept on staff from the prior company, I have heard nothing but praises from employees that work for them. And I know that you and Kathy and everybody, it makes me proud when I go to a conference with you and y'all are getting award after award after award. And when I go to FAC and I hear other counties coming to me about our transportation and wanting to know things. So I know you've been, stressing over a lot of stuff, but I want you to know that I think we all appreciate what you do. It doesn't go unnoticed. And I want you to
It's
let...
not me, I have a good team, but you're going to...
You're exactly right, you do. Your girls work hard, and they make it fun, like they've sat there and figured out how you can go from here to the Keys on less than $50. I mean, that's how much fun they have in this department, right? So, unfortunately, I'm not going to be supporting the other company this evening. I am going to stay with MV simply because I personally know the challenges they had. Like I said last time, buses were pulled out of the woods. Buses that we had purchased were put over in the prior person's name. It was a disaster. And MV came, they stepped up, they stepped to the plate. Every time something happened to kick them back, they said, we're not going back, we're going forward, we're in it. And most importantly for me tonight, we had one company bid the last time this went out for bid, one. They were willing to take the chance. And that meeting didn't end well, and we paused that meeting. And they were going to walk away, and they didn't. They came back, and they believed in us, and they stayed with us. And for that reason alone, with what they had to inherit and where they've come today, I don't want to step away from a partnership that I know has been nurtured and has been nothing but up. And I know that it's going to continue to go up. So thank you for all that you do. Thank you for the way you treat your staff. I ride the buses. I talk to the people that ride the buses. The people are happy. Can there still be things added? Yes, there can. But I'm telling you, MV has done a great job. So It's making me happy to hear that I think we're going to be hopefully unanimous tonight, because MV really deserves the opportunity to move this forward for another time. So thank you, Adolfo, for you and your staff and all that you do. And I know that Jennifer and y'all are a part of this too. So Desiree, thank you.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Lee.
Just like to add the comment, I was one that wanted to postpone this and look into it a little bit more, mostly because of the dollars. And when I looked at the dollars of the 7 applicants, and 4 of them are within $3 million, and obviously MV is one of them, I've changed my mind also with the other questions I had answered that are too numerous to go into. But I am very comfortable with going forward with MV also.
Thank you very much.
And not to take too much time and just repeat what's been set up here, but Adolfo, I want to thank you. We've had several conversations since the last meeting. I want to thank you and your team always for being super responsive. You're on it 100%. So please know again, like I told you, you are valued, and we really appreciate you.
I truly appreciate that.
Now, that being said, I did exactly what I said I was going to do, and I had already requested a copy of each proposer's bid just for myself to take a look and go through. As someone for the last 15 years that's been responding, submitting, and then managing contracts for FDOT along 95 and the Turnpike, I just wanted to look for myself. And I just have to say, after going through MVs versus the other, I had no doubt in my mind that MV could handle the contract. I did not have that same confidence with the other submittal. And given what this is our transportation contract. This gets people, you heard, to work, to school. This is more than, just a long line mowing contract or not being able to get out and cut the grass. These are people's lives, livelihoods, education. So this is a lot bigger also than money, which is something I'm glad got pointed out, that FDOT contracts, money is not the most important thing. They want to know you understand the contract. They want to know how you're going to perform it, how you're going to, when you lose drivers, how are you going to replace drivers? When vehicles go down, how are you going to replace vehicles? MVs was amazing. And you're a tough scorer, by the way. I was looking. You did not do them any favors there, mister. So I would just say that's my 2 cents. Looking at those two apples to apples, I was left questioning if you could do it. So take that as it is, and I also am going to be supporting our team's recommendation.
So I'll make a motion to
negotiate
approve.
with MV.
Motion to approve MV.
Motion, and is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you. Thank everyone for being here tonight on that.
Yes, you're welcome.
All right, and with that, we bring it to commissioner comments. Any comments, questions from the board?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Cosby?
wrote down a couple comments. First of all, I'd like to thank the building department for coming out to the Treasure Coast Builders Association Builder Show. There were, I believe, over 400 contractors and related industries present at Mid-Florida, and St. Lucie County had a booth there. Our building official was there, as well as our chief inspector. Is that his title? Just really appreciative of them being there. In addition to that, I wanted to mention that today we had our first Florida Association of Counties Urban Affairs Policy Committee meeting, and one of the items on the Urban Affairs policies that we're looking at is pitching to the state legislature to change Senate Bill 180, specifically Section 28, and a couple other issues that some people have with it. And I wanted to ask staff if there was any update on lowering the millage rate. I know we have our meeting mentioned in the next item, September 4th at 6 p.m., but if you could just, give us an idea as we're all sitting here.
That idea will be shared on September 4th at 6 p.m. or soon thereafter. We don't have the information in front of us today to be able to give an accurate depiction, but we'll be prepared to go over a good budget presentation on Thursday.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Clasby. And if there's nothing else, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to send it over to you for upcoming meetings.
So the Board of County Commissioners will hold a tentative budget hearing with the same energy as tonight on Thursday, September 4th at 6 p.m. in the Commission Chambers of the Roger Portis Annex located at 2300 Virginia Avenue. The Board of County Commissioners will also hold an informal meeting on Tuesday, September 9th, 2025 at 9 a.m. here in these Commission Chambers. And the Board of County Commissioners will hold a regular meeting on Tuesday, September 16th at 9 a.m. here in these Commission Chambers located at 2300 Virginia Avenue. And Eric will close us out with two announcements.
Thank you, Mr. Landry. Madam Chair, Commissioners, St. Lucie County's Parks and Recreation Department and the Sheriff's Office have partnered once again for the free third annual Tunnel of Terror and Trunk or Treat event on Friday, October 24th from 6 to 10 p.m. at the Haverdale Fen Center located at 2000 Virginia Avenue. The Trunk or Treat event is designed for all ages, while the Tunnel of Terror is designed for ages 15 and older. For details, you can call 772-462-1521. The Kilmer Branch Library, located at 101 Melody Lane in Fort Pierce, is once again hosting a Halloween costume swap throughout November for those in need of a new-to-you costume. Donations will be accepted at all St. Lucie County branch libraries. Costumes must be complete and in good condition, no rips, tears, or stains. And those needing costumes can browse the Kilmer Branch anytime in October during normal business hours while supplies last. Residents do not need to donate a costume in order to pick up a new-to-you costume. And they can also go to our website at stlucieco.gov/calendar for more events and other activities hosted by the county.
All right, thank you, Eric. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Have a good evening, everyone. Thank you.